Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about life that most people don't understand. The moment you think you know everything, that is the moment you stop growing. Life was never designed for you to stay the same. You were created to evolve, to improve, to stretch beyond the limits you once believed were impossible. Every single day you wake up is another opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. The problem is, many people want success, but they don't want the process of developing themselves. They want the reward without the growth. But I'm here to tell you today that the real secret to success is constant self-development. You see, growth never stops. The world keeps moving whether you grow or not. Technology changes. People change. Opportunities change. If you don't grow with the world, you will be left behind by it. The most successful people in this world are not the ones who started with the most talent. They are the ones who committed themselves to learning every day. They read, they listen, they study, they observe, and they improve. Every day they ask themselves one simple question. How can I become better today than I was yesterday? That one question alone can change your life. Because when you focus on improving daily, you begin to build a powerful mindset that pushes you forward no matter what obstacles appear in your path. Another thing you must understand is that you must invest in yourself daily. You are the greatest project you will ever work on. People spend money on clothes, cars, and entertainment, but they hesitate when it comes to investing in their own growth. They won't buy a book. They won't learn a skill. They won't take the time to improve their mind. But listen to me carefully. When you invest in yourself, the return is unlimited. No one can take knowledge away from you. No one can steal your skills. When you improve your mind, you improve your life. Spend time developing your mindset, your discipline, your skills, and your character. The more you grow internally, the more your external life begins to change. Now let's talk about failure, because failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. Most people are afraid of failure, but the truth is failure is part of the development process. I have failed many times in my life. I've been broke, I've been rejected. I've faced moments where it seemed like nothing was going my way. But every failure taught me something valuable. Every setback showed me where I needed to grow. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of the journey to success. If you learn from it instead of running from it, failure will sharpen your wisdom and strengthen your character. The people who succeed are not the people who never fail. They are the people who keep developing themselves even after they fall. Let me share something powerful with you today. One of the most important truths about life is that growth never stops. The moment you believe you have learned enough, the moment you believe you have reached your limit, that is the exact moment your progress begins to die. Life was never meant to be lived standing still. It was designed for movement, for progress, for constant improvement. Every single day you wake up, you have another chance to grow, another chance to learn, and another chance to become better than the person you were yesterday. Too many people in this world make a dangerous mistake. They believe growth only happens in school or during certain periods of life. They think once they graduate, once they get a job, once they reach a certain level of comfort, that the learning process is over. But the truth is, real growth begins after those moments. The real education of life begins when you start facing challenges, when you begin solving problems, when you learn lessons through experience. Growth does not stop when school ends. Growth only stops when you decide to stop growing. Think about it this way. The world around you never stops evolving. Technology changes every year. Industries transform. Opportunities appear and disappear. If you remain the same person while the world continues to move forward, you will slowly fall behind without even realizing it. The only way to stay relevant, the only way to keep winning in life, is to keep developing yourself. The moment you commit to lifelong growth, you put yourself in a position where no matter how much the world changes, you are always ready to adapt and rise to the next level. Growth is not always comfortable. In fact, most of the time it is uncomfortable. When you are growing, you are stepping into areas you have never experienced before. You are learning skills that once seemed difficult. You are facing situations that challenge your confidence. That uncomfortable feeling you get when you are learning something new is actually the sign that growth is happening. Many people run away from that discomfort. They choose what is easy instead of what helps them grow. But successful people understand that discomfort is part of the process. Every great person you admire reached their level because they refused to stay the same. They kept improving their mindset, their skills, and their discipline. They read books when others were wasting time. They practiced their craft when others were relaxing. They studied their mistakes when others were making excuses. That constant effort to grow is what separates average people from extraordinary people. Another thing you must understand is that growth happens in small steps, not giant leaps. People often look for dramatic changes, but the real transformation in life comes from small improvements repeated consistently. If you read a few pages every day, your knowledge will expand over time. If you practice a skill every day, your ability will improve little by little. If you work on your mindset daily, your confidence will begin to grow stronger. These small daily improvements may seem insignificant at first, but over months and years, they create powerful results. You must also understand that growth is a personal responsibility. No one else can do it for you. Nobody can force you to improve your mindset. Nobody can push you to develop your skills if you do not make that decision yourself. Your growth begins the moment you decide that you refuse to stay the same person you were yesterday. That decision alone has the power to change the direction of your entire life. When you begin focusing on constant development, something amazing happens. Your perspective begins to change. Instead of seeing problems as obstacles, you start seeing them as lessons. Instead of fearing challenges, you begin to welcome them because you know they will help you grow. Instead of being intimidated by successful people, you become inspired by them. Your mindset shifts from limitation to possibility. Growth also builds confidence. The more you learn, the more capable you become. The more skills you develop, the more opportunities open up in your life. Confidence does not come from luck or from waiting for the perfect moment. Confidence comes from preparation. When you constantly work on yourself, you begin to realize that you are capable of achieving more than you ever imagined. The truth is, the most successful people in the world are simply people who never stopped developing themselves. They never reached a point where they said, "I know enough." They kept learning, they kept growing, and they kept pushing themselves beyond their comfort zone. That commitment to growth is what allowed them to rise higher than most people ever will. So every morning when you wake up, remind yourself of one powerful idea. Today is another chance to grow, another chance to improve your mindset, another chance to learn something new, another chance to take a step forward in your life. When you live with that mindset every day, you create a life that continues to expand, improve, and evolve. One of the most powerful decisions you can ever make in your life is the decision to invest in yourself every single day. I want you to understand something clearly. You are the greatest asset you will ever have. Not your job, not your bank account, not the people around you. The most valuable thing you possess is your mind, your abilities, your skills, and your character. When you improve these things, every area of your life begins to change. Too many people spend years working hard for other things while completely ignoring the most important investment they should be making. They work hard for their company, they sacrifice their time for their job, and they dedicate energy to building someone else's dream. But they rarely spend time building themselves. They rarely take the time to develop their mindset, to strengthen their discipline, or to learn new skills that could transform their future. The truth is, when you invest in yourself, you are creating opportunities that no one can take away from you. Think about it for a moment. If you lose a job, you can get another one. If you lose money, you can earn it again. But the knowledge and skills you gain by developing yourself stay with you forever. Nobody can steal what you have learned. Nobody can remove the experience you have gained. Every book you read, every lesson you learn, every skill you practice becomes a permanent part of who you are. The problem is that many people wait for the perfect moment to start investing in themselves. They say things like, "I'll start learning when I have more time," or "I'll improve myself when my life becomes easier." But let me tell you something, the perfect time will never arrive. Life will always be busy. There will always be responsibilities, distractions, and challenges. The people who succeed are the ones who decide to grow even in the middle of their busy lives. Investing in yourself does not always require money. Sometimes it simply requires commitment and discipline. It means choosing to read instead of scrolling through endless distractions. It means learning a new skill instead of wasting hours on things that bring no value to your future. It means spending time strengthening your mindset so that you can handle the challenges that life throws at you. Your mind is like a garden. If you do not plant seeds of knowledge and growth, weeds of negativity and doubt will grow automatically. That is why it is so important to feed your mind with positive and powerful information every day. Read books that expand your thinking. Listen to ideas that challenge you to become better. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to grow instead of people who keep you stuck in the same place. Another important part of investing in yourself is developing your skills. The world rewards people who bring value. If you learn valuable skills, your opportunities increase dramatically. When you improve your communication, your leadership, your creativity, or your technical abilities, you become someone who can solve problems and create solutions. And when you become a problem solver, people begin to notice your value. Success is not about luck. Success is about preparation meeting opportunity. Opportunities appear in life all the time, but only the prepared person can take advantage of them. When you constantly invest in your knowledge and abilities, you prepare yourself for opportunities that others are not ready for. When that moment arrives, you will not be afraid because you will know that you have spent time preparing yourself for it. Investing in yourself also strengthens your confidence. Confidence does not come from pretending to be strong. Real confidence comes from knowing that you have put in the work to improve yourself. When you study, practice, and learn consistently, you begin to trust your own abilities. That trust becomes the foundation of real confidence. Another powerful thing happens when you commit to daily self-investment. Your mindset begins to shift from limitation to possibility. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," you begin to ask, "How can I learn to do this?" Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, you begin to see them as opportunities to develop new strengths. This change in thinking alone can transform the direction of your life. Every single day, you have the chance to invest in yourself. It might be through learning something new, practicing a skill, improving your health, or strengthening your mindset. These small daily investments may seem simple, but over time they build a powerful foundation for your future. Remember this: the greatest return on investment you will ever receive comes from investing in yourself. When you grow, everything around you begins to grow. Your opportunities increase, and your confidence rises, and your ability to create success becomes stronger. And the beautiful thing about self-investment is that it never stops paying you back. The effort you put into developing yourself today will continue to reward you for the rest of your life. Let's talk about something that many people try to avoid, something that most people fear more than anything else on their journey to success. That thing is failure. Failure has a way of making people doubt themselves. It has a way of making people feel embarrassed, discouraged, and sometimes even hopeless. But the truth that many people never realize is that failure is not your enemy. Failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have in your life. Most people grow up believing that failure means the end of the road. When something doesn't work out, they believe it is a sign that they are not good enough or that they should stop trying. But successful people understand something different. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of the path that leads to success. Every great achievement in this world has a story of failure behind it. You see, failure teaches lessons that success can never teach. When things go perfectly, you rarely stop to examine what you did or how you did it. But when something goes wrong, you begin to analyze every detail. You start asking questions. You start looking for answers. That process of reflection is where real growth happens. Failure forces you to become better because it shows you exactly where improvement is needed. Think about the first time anyone learns something new. A child learning to walk falls many times before taking steady steps. A student learning a new skill makes mistakes again and again before mastering it. Failure is not a sign of weakness in these situations. It is simply part of the learning process. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to achieve something meaningful, you must accept that failure will be part of the journey. One of the biggest differences between people who succeed and people who quit is how they respond to failure. When some people fail, they allow it to define them. They say, "I failed, so I must not be capable." But successful people see failure differently. They say, "I failed, so now I know what doesn't work." That mindset turns failure from a painful experience into a valuable lesson. Every setback carries a message. It tells you where your strategy needs improvement. It reveals weaknesses that need to be strengthened. It shows you areas where you must develop new skills or change your approach. When you begin to look at failure this way, it stops being something to fear and starts becoming something to learn from. Another important thing about failure is that it builds resilience. Life will challenge you in ways you cannot predict. There will be moments when things do not go according to your plans. There will be times when doors close and opportunities disappear. But every time you face failure and choose to keep going, you build inner strength. That strength prepares you for the bigger challenges that come later in life. People who avoid failure often avoid growth as well. They stay in their comfort zones because they are afraid of making mistakes. But comfort zones are dangerous places if you want to achieve greatness. Nothing extraordinary ever happens inside a comfort zone. Growth happens when you take risks, try new things, and step into situations where success is not guaranteed. Failure also teaches humility. It reminds you that there is always something more to learn. It keeps your ego in check and encourages you to remain open to improvement. When you accept that mistakes are part of the process, you become more willing to learn from others, to listen to advice, and to continue improving your abilities. Another powerful lesson failure teaches is patience. Success rarely happens overnight. Many people give up too soon because they expect instant results. They try something once or twice, and when it doesn't work immediately, they lose motivation. But failure reminds you that mastery takes time. It reminds you that progress is often slow and that persistence is necessary if you want to achieve something meaningful. When you look at the stories of highly successful people, you will discover a common pattern. Before they reached their achievements, they faced rejection, disappointment, and failure many times, but they refused to allow those failures to stop them. Instead, they used each setback as fuel to improve themselves and try again with greater determination. Failure also strengthens your courage. The more times you face challenges and recover from them, the less power fear has over you. You begin to realize that failure is not the end of the world. It is simply a moment in your journey that teaches you how to become stronger and wiser. When you learn from failure instead of running from it, you transform it into a powerful tool for development. Each mistake becomes a stepping stone toward improvement. Each setback becomes a lesson that guides you closer to success. The key is not to avoid failure, but to respond to it with the right mindset. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can this teach me?" That simple shift in perspective changes everything. It turns failure into a classroom where every experience adds to your wisdom. So when failure appears in your life, do not see it as a sign to stop. See it as an opportunity to grow. See it as a lesson that will make you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next step on your journey. Because every failure you learn from brings you one step closer to the success you are working toward. Let me talk to you about something that truly separates those who dream from those who actually achieve something great in life. That thing is discipline. Many people talk about motivation. They watch motivational videos, they listen to inspiring speeches, and for a moment they feel excited and energized. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up feeling powerful and ready to conquer the world, and other days you feel tired, distracted, and unmotivated. If your success depends only on motivation, then your progress will always be inconsistent. But discipline is different. Discipline is the ability to keep moving forward even when motivation disappears. Discipline is the bridge between where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. It is the force that keeps you working on your goals when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, and when the results are not yet visible. Many people want success, but they are not willing to develop the discipline required to achieve it. They want the reward, but they do not want the daily commitment that creates that reward. Think about any area of life where someone becomes excellent, whether it is sports, business, education, or art. The people who reach the highest levels all share one thing in common. They are disciplined. They show up every day and do the work, even when they do not feel like it. They practice when others are relaxing. They study when others are wasting time. They continue improving their craft long after most people would have quit. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build through small daily choices. Every day you face simple decisions that shape your future. You can choose to wake up early and work on your goals, or you can choose to stay comfortable and delay your progress. You can choose to learn something valuable, or you can spend hours on distractions that add no value to your life. These choices may seem small in the moment, but over time they create powerful results. The truth is that your future is built by what you repeatedly do today. If you build habits of discipline, those habits begin to work in your favor. They push you forward even when your emotions try to pull you backward. Discipline creates structure in your life. It gives you control over your time, your energy, and your actions. Instead of being controlled by distractions and impulses, you begin to control the direction of your life. Another important thing about discipline is that it builds trust in yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, your confidence grows stronger. When you say you will wake up early and you actually do it, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. When you commit to learning a skill and you practice consistently, you begin to trust your own ability to follow through. That trust becomes the foundation of self-confidence. Many people struggle because they wait for the perfect mood to begin working. They say things like, "I'll start when I feel ready," or "I'll do it when I'm more motivated." But discipline teaches you that action comes first and motivation often follows. When you take action repeatedly, even when it feels difficult, you begin to build momentum. That momentum eventually creates the motivation people were waiting for in the first place. Discipline also protects you from the distractions that exist everywhere in today's world. There are endless things competing for your attention every day: social media, entertainment, unnecessary conversations, and countless other distractions can easily consume your time if you allow them to. Discipline helps you stay focused on what truly matters. It reminds you that every hour of your day is valuable and that how you use that time determines the quality of your future. Another powerful thing about discipline is that it compounds over time. The effort you put in today may not show immediate results. You might work hard for weeks or months without seeing dramatic change. But discipline works quietly in the background. It builds skills, strengthens your mindset, and prepares you for opportunities that are still ahead of you. Then one day the results begin to appear, and people call it overnight success. But the truth is that success was built slowly through years of disciplined effort. Discipline also gives you resilience during difficult times. Life will not always be easy. There will be moments when things go wrong, when plans fail, and when challenges seem overwhelming. In those moments, discipline keeps you steady. It reminds you to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. It keeps you focused on your long-term vision instead of temporary struggles. When you develop strong discipline, you begin to realize that your life is not controlled by circumstances. It is shaped by your daily actions. Discipline empowers you to take responsibility for your future. Instead of waiting for opportunities to appear, you begin preparing yourself for them. Instead of blaming others for your situation, you focus on improving yourself. In the end, discipline is what turns dreams into reality. It transforms ideas into achievements and potential into real success. The small disciplined actions you take today will determine the life you experience tomorrow. And when you commit to living with discipline every single day, you begin creating a future that once existed only in your imagination.